I was diagnosed at the age of 9 with a very rare retinal disease. So as a perfectly healthy child, no issues, no concerns, the cells of my retina literally began to die.
Wow.
So all the doctors could say is, at some point, you will go totally blind, but we don't know at what rate your vision will decrease.
Wow.
So that was when I was a 9-year-old.
Welcome, everybody. We have another exciting episode for you today. I have a very special guest and a brand new friend, Laura Bratton, and she's here with us today to share her incredible story of inspiration. Laura, welcome to the show. I'm so excited to have you here.
Thank you. I'm so excited to be here.
Oh my God, I can't wait for you to share your story. You have a beautiful story. You have a beautiful energy around you. So this podcast, before we even get into that, can you please introduce yourself to the audience and tell us who you are, where you're joining from, and what you do?
Yes. So I am a professional speaker and coach, specifically focusing on how do people navigate through change. So when they're experiencing major life changes and just those transition experiences in life, how do they navigate through? Mm-hmm. And I'm based in the Southeast, so in South Carolina.
Beautiful. What a great topic to speak on. We all need to learn how to do that. And I understand that you have an incredible story of mindset transformation, which is what we like to share on this podcast. And we like to go deep and we like to get real. So if you're ready, would you please share with us where you find yourself in your mindset these days? If you had to rate it from a scale of 1 to 10, 1 being really low and struggling to 10 being like warrior mode on.
So I would say for today, an 8. Obviously, it hasn't always been at an 8, but where I am currently in the present moment, it would be an 8.
That's beautiful. Yeah. So, I usually invite people who have had that transformation journey of going from a low mindset to, now living in that high vibe kind of setting. So if it hasn't always been like that, would you take us through your journey of, when maybe it was at its lowest or what the struggle was like?
It was definitely at its lowest in my teenage years. So I was diagnosed at the age of 9 with a very rare retinal disease. So as a perfectly healthy child, no issues, no concerns, the cells of my retina literally began to die. Wow. So all the doctors could say is, at some point, you will go totally blind, but we don't know at what rate your vision will decrease.
Wow.
So that was when I was a 9-year-old. Then when I was a 13, 14, 15-year-old, that's when the vision loss started to happen in a very significant way. So I went from being able to read print to not being able to read print.
Wow.
Seeing things far away, seeing things close up to not being able to do that. Wow. So 13 to 18, I went from full sight to almost no sight.
Oh my God. I can't even imagine what that felt like.
Yeah.
Did you remember hearing that diagnosis from the doctor at the age of 9?
Yes, but I didn't realize the significance. And that was the gift of being a 9-year-old, because I was still playing basketball, doing dance, all the normal activities. And I couldn't understand what that meant. So I heard it, but I didn't realize how it would impact my life until it started impacting my life at 13 or 14.
And so did you, was it a sudden, like one day it was there and the next day it wasn't at 13?
It wasn't that dramatic. It wasn't one day I had 20/20 and the next day I had no sight. So it was gradual over years, but when I lost vision, I lost it quickly. So it was a big, it was like, I went pretty quickly from, I could read print, I could read large print, I could use a magnifier. I can't even use a magnifier to read print. Wow. So no, it wasn't just wake up and didn't have any vision, but it was very significant when I lost sight.
And so when it started to go away, were you in the process of preparing for something like that to happen?
Yeah.
Like, were you studying Braille and things like that? Or Not really.
Yes, absolutely. Yes. So thankfully, I was in the process of learning Braille, learning how to adapt life the best I could. But again, as an 11-year-old, as a 12-year-old, when it's not yet happening,
Yeah.
I couldn't really grasp why am I having to learn. I mean, I knew why I was having to learn it, but it didn't really seem significant.
Yeah. Like cerebrally you knew, but it was hard
Right.
to process.
Right.
So what
Right.
did that feel like? I mean, can you describe for us a little bit about what that must have felt like?
So the first emotion was denial.
Mm,
Oh, this isn't that bad. Oh, it's not going to be that hard. Oh,
mm,
I'll get my vision back really soon. This is not going to be forever. It's not permanent.
wow.
So it was that instant denial of,
Mm,
again, the severity of it.
mm. I can't even imagine. Yeah. Okay, so you're going through this denial and you're trying to learn all of the tools and the techniques that you need to survive. Emotionally, what are you feeling?
So quickly after the denial was the deep, deep, deep depression with panic attacks. So it was the deep depression at the same time as the deep anxiety.
Mm,
So it was my main mindset, or basically all of my mindset was, I can't do this.
mm.
That was just,
It was hard.
yeah, it wasn't the anger, the why me. It was 100% constantly, I can't.
Yeah, yeah. And do you have a support system at this point around you that's helping you navigate all this?
Yes. So that is the grace. And that is what empowered me to start changing that can't into being able to shift that mindset. So I had the support of parents, of one older brother who just thankfully continued to treat me normal. I mean, obviously make accommodations, but just treated me as normal. And so just the family and friends around me keeping things normal, that was what allowed me to begin that mindset shift.
So I hear this a lot from even my friends who have like autistic children or, children with certain disabilities. The one thing that I hear all the time is they just want to be treated like normal kids.
Yes.
So, can you explain that from your perspective? What does that even mean? Because I know a lot of people want to treat you normally, but they are just so weirded out, for lack of a better word, for
Yes.
as to how to say, what to say. They don't want to step over, the boundaries. They don't want to say anything wrong. What does that what does that do for someone like you when you say that they treated you normal and that was the beginning of your kind of journey back to yourself?
Just respect. So a practical example would be, yes, my vision was quickly decreasing, but I still had the same chores at home as a teenager. I mean, if we need to make accommodations on how I did those chores, obviously my parents absolutely would, but they didn't say, oh, you don't have to clean your room, you don't have to do any of your chores, we're just going to baby you because you just can't do anything. So they didn't lower their expectations because I was blind. They just made accommodations so they still had those expectations. So in general, thank you for asking the question about just people wanting to be treated as normal. Just talk about everyday life, just like they're human, just very simply. What have you been up to lately? What is just the normal conversation, just the normal social conversations, rather than, ooh, I don't know what to say, so I'm just not going to say anything.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
would rather someone say the wrong thing and from a genuine place of caring, wanting to connect human to human, rather than ignoring me because I have a disability.
Yeah, thank you for clarifying that. And I hope that gives people courage to show up and speak more and be more open and, reciprocal with anyone that they come around that has
Yes.
either a disability or, something else going on.
Yes.
And it really is, heartbreaking to hear the story. But I think what's amazing is to see your resilience come through. right? And that is what inspires me. I know that will inspire whoever is listening to this or watching this. So tell us, okay, so how did your world change before and after? I know that, obviously you had to make physical accommodations and things like that, but emotionally, what were some of was it like a roller coaster up and down? Was it like just, after the depression, after the sadness, how did you start to pick yourself up from that?
Yes. So, yeah, there had to be a process. I was constantly at that 1, and being now today at an 8, it was a day by day process. So there was never one day where I woke up and said, oh, I'm no longer oppressed. Oh, I'm not going to have a panic attack today. It wasn't a huge moment. It was a daily process. And what I speak about in both speaking and coaching, and the reason I speak about it is because I had to live it, was the balance of grit and gratitude. So for me, that mindset to work out of that depression was first choosing the grit. And what I mean by that is that daily grit. Okay, for this next hour, I trust myself to have the strength to get through this hour. And then maybe the next day, okay, for 2 hours, I trust myself to be courageous to figure this out. And then maybe it's 3 days or 3 hours and then half a day. And that slowly builds on itself. And what was incredibly healing, the other part of that grit that was able to be such a source of empowerment, was acknowledging the pain. So when I tried to be super positive and be strong and push forward and have tenacity, I was screaming inside, but I'm not. But I'm still experiencing this major the difficulty is still the difficulty.
Yeah.
So for me, again, incredible source of that empowerment was just saying, this is really, really hard. And I choose to have the strength for the next hour. Okay, I will give myself permission to cry and feel everything I need to feel, and I will keep moving forward. So to constantly keep that balance of acknowledging the difficulty, acknowledging the pain is not a weakness. Because I saw that as a weakness.
Right.
If I admit this is a struggle, then I'm weak and I'm not strong and I don't have grit.
Don't we all?
For me,
the
power was acknowledging the pain and choosing to have courage.
Wow. So I often talk about the 2 voices in our head. I call them the witch and the warrior. Yes. One is the witches are inner critic and the warriors are inner cheerleader. And it sounds like you had to not only battle these 2 voices once a day, twice a day, but almost like every hour, every minute.
Yes, constantly. Right? Yes.
So this has got to be exhausting as you're doing this, right?
Yes, 100%. Thank you for acknowledging that and saying that.
Oh my God, I can't even imagine. I mean, on a good day, I feel like the witch and the warrior can drive me crazy together. But, going through something like that on a minute by minute basis, I mean, it's hard. Yes. So let me ask you this. What did your support system look like? You said your family treated you normal and that helped. Did you have other people that were helping you? How was the school responding? Were you getting the support you needed everywhere or not really?
Yes, I was absolutely getting the physical support that I needed as far as accommodations to get through high school and apply to college and get my first guide dog and learn all the resources. So I'm very grateful that those physical accommodations were there. And also the emotional accommodations were there. Balancing out that grit was the gift of gratitude. And what this came through mentors, family, friends. This didn't come within myself at all because I couldn't recognize it. What I learned is a mindset shift was being grateful for what empowered me through the difficulty, not being grateful for the difficulty itself.
Wow. Yeah, there's so much there. Yeah, so much there because, difficult times are something we all face.
Yes.
And one of the things that I always lean into is gratitude as well.
Yes.
Looking at the people who don't have even what I have is always, always a source of encouragement for myself. And there are people, we think sometimes that our problems are the biggest problem in the world, but then there are people living in war-torn countries and they don't even have
Right.
basic safety or
Right.
a home or, something like that. And at least we have that. And so starting with that one thing and then leading into another, and suddenly before you know it, you have a page full of gratitude.
Yes.
So I love that you're sharing that as well, because gratitude is such a beautiful way to snap out of that kind of mindset that we get ourselves into.
Yes. Yes.
Okay. So talk to me about, I don't know why, but I feel called to ask about friendships as a teenager, because that's such a big part in case we have some teenagers listening, and especially girls. I know they struggle so much with those teen friendships and, the power dynamics and all of that. How did you face all of that once things had changed for you?
It was incredibly difficult. Some friends that I'd had, since childhood, thankfully, they continued to be there and support me. And again, just like, family, make accommodations. It wasn't that they were ignoring the blindness. They just were willing to make accommodations. And we still had whatever our friendship was based on. So I'm very grateful for that. There were other people that it was just too hard to deal with. And so it was easier just not to deal with it. So just to kind of go away. But for me, the biggest change and the biggest empowerment for all friendships, any type of relationship, was me learning to be comfortable with the new normal. Once I could change that mindset and be comfortable in the new normal, be comfortable with who I was without vision, then the friendships were natural. So it was me regaining that confidence.
I find that so fascinating, because no matter who I speak to or what client I work with, it always comes back to, well, we need to change ourselves. We need to work on ourselves.
Yes.
It's that inner work.
Yes. So it was with the friendship, when you asked that question, my first thought was it was more about me than them.
Yeah.
Once I became confident, the friendships were easy.
Yeah. Yeah. Because we're not overthinking. We're not overanalyzing. We're not, just having 20,000 stories in our heads about what people are thinking or saying about ourselves. Right.
Right.
Because you had clarity. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
Okay.
Right.
So some friendships were difficult, but you were continuing to work on yourself. Would you say there was one person that might have inspired you to finally make that switch in your mindset, or was it just the day in and day out effort of every single day?
It was the effort. It was both. So it was the daily effort of day in, day out mindset. Yet I was able to have that mindset because of the support around me. So because those friends and family supported me and believed in me and treated me while making those accommodations, that gave me the strength to have that courage day in, day out to change the mindset. So it was absolutely both. And I had to choose to have the courage, but what gave me that courage was the support around me.
Did you start to notice that, wow, I have this in me and I can do this? Was there a moment where that started to happen, where it's like, yes, there are people around me pushing me to do things, but was there do you remember a moment or moments where it was like, oh my God, this is me. I really want to do this, or I really need to find a way out.
Yes. Can I share a quick story?
Yes, please.
So I got my first guide dog in between high school and college. So I got her right before I started college. And to train with guide dogs, I had to go out to the guide dog school and live there on their campus for a month while I trained with the guide dog. And it was that month. Again, it wasn't one particular moment in that month, but over that course of that time of being there and getting connected with this guide dog and starting to learn how to use a guide dog and what that meant and the power, that's when exactly what you're saying happened. That mindset shift of, okay, Laura, you just had the past several years of family and friends supporting you. Now it's time for you to literally pick up the harness on this dog and have the courage to physically and emotionally move forward. Like you have to choose this courage. So I would absolutely say that happened during that month.
Wow. That's amazing. That's amazing. Isn't that the best feeling ever?
Yes.
I've had experiences like that where I'm like, oh my God, like that was me. That was all me
Yes.
showing up for myself. And
Yes.
such an empowering feeling. And it's almost, do you feel like, I know for me, I felt like I was invincible after that. It was like, okay,
Yes.
what's next? What's my
Yeah, exactly.
right?
Yes.
Yeah.
100%.
Yeah. Oh my God. This is such an inspiring story. Thank you so much for sharing this. I'm in awe of your courage, your grit, your persistence. And I think that, while this experience may have been a painful one for you, I'm so glad that you're on the other side of it. And now, do you feel like now that you've come around, are you fully embracing the limitations that you have?
Yes. And again, what I found is that balance of the grit and gratitude is when I do get frustrated or do get overwhelmed, just giving myself the permission to feel the frustration, feel the whatever the difficult emotion is. And then I'm quickly able to just experience that, feel that, and then move forward. So that process is much quicker, where in high school and college, it was a long process where I felt like I was stuck there forever.
Yeah.
Where now I feel like I can feel a difficult emotion and then continue to move forward.
So it's almost like a muscle, right? The more you practice it, the more you exercise
100%. That's a perfect analogy. That's exactly what it feels like. And I have to use that muscle.
Yeah. And you unfortunately maybe had to lift like 100-pound weight suddenly out of the blue, right? And now it's like, okay, I can't do it. So there's a lot of frustration, and then realizing how to, okay, maybe use a lever or a pulley or something like that.
Yes. That's a perfect. Yes.
Yeah.
Perfect.
Yeah. So, wow. This is, again, so amazing because there are so many lessons in what you're sharing. What you said about giving yourself the permission to process those emotions.
Yes.
Because again, how many of us go through life pushing down what feels uncomfortable, shoving it down, burying it in the deep, deep depths of the basement of our hearts, and never to let them out because they're so painful to go through until we're forced to go through something like that.
Right.
Do you have a process of how you go through these emotions, or do you have a pep talk that you give yourself? How do you go through that once it comes up?
So my process is turning towards it and just letting it be. And what's incredibly helpful for me is to connect that with a physical activity. So whether it's walking, exercising, biking, swimming, whatever it might be, to let it physically go through my body as I'm allowing the sadness, the anger, the panic attack, turning towards it rather than exactly what you said, just pushing it down to the basement. Because my fear was if I feel it and let that come up, it'll never go away. But the gift is when I turn towards it, it goes away quickly.
That's beautiful. I was at Elizabeth Gilbert's retreat last year, the author of Eat, Pray, Love and Big Magic. And she says something which it just reminded me of what we were talking about. And she says, fear is the first person that comes to a party.
Yes.
So instead of pushing it away, let's invite it in and let fear sit down and say, okay, fear, what do you have for me?
What do you have? Yes. Yes.
So I think what you're saying is kind of the same thing. Is like, instead of pushing it away, invite it in and be like, okay,
invite it in.
You have.
Yes.
And when it's going to move through my body, like let's get it out. Let's push it outside the body or let it move through the body and allow it to just be there and acknowledge it.
Yeah. Acknowledge it.
Yeah.
100%.
Oh, I love that. Okay, so tell us what your day-to-day looks like now after you've, understand how old are you now, if you don't mind my asking?
Yeah, so I'm 40 now, and what my day-to-day looks like is, and what my deep passion is the speaking and the coaching on creating that foundation of grit and gratitude so others are empowered to navigate through their change. change. So my goal, and again, my passion is helping people, both individuals and organizations, answer that question, how do I navigate through change? So as someone who's been through major change and still lives with it every day, I not only have to speak and coach on this grit and gratitude, I have to literally live it. So that is my passion. That is my empowerment, to take this mindset shift that I've learned to empower other people as they go through their change.
Yeah, what a beautiful way to pay it forward, right?
Yes.
So tell me, have you owned your power now?
Yes.
Yes.
Because that's where the courage comes.
Yes. Oh, that's so beautiful, because that in and of itself is such a life journey, right?
Yes.
To be able to own that and say,
yes,
this is why I went through what I went through, and this is why I'm here doing
yes,
what I do.
yes.
What is the most rewarding experience that you have had since you started speaking about this and sharing your story?
Those small comments when people will say things to me after the speech or email me, contact me afterwards, and give a practical example, a practical application in their life that they were able to implement because of something I said about the grit and the gratitude. So there's little how they were able to say, oh, I've never thought about grit in that way. Or, I've never been grateful. Here's how, I started to be grateful by calling those family members that I just haven't appreciated, that I haven't taken the time, not because I didn't appreciate it, I just didn't take the time to express that towards them. So just those moments of empowering people to literally live the grit and gratitude, not just talk about it. And then the other part of that would be exactly what you said about the fear, empowering people and witnessing their mind shift change as they were too afraid to feel that anxiety or feel that loneliness or feel that grief. And then in the process of working together, they're able to feel it and move forward.
So good. You're impacting change, right?
Yes.
Yes. But I can totally, as an intuitive coach, I can totally relate to that. It's when you impact that change and you see that spark in someone's eyes. Like, I did something I never thought I could. Right. I love that. Well, if you could share one message of hope or inspiration for people who are dealing with a difficult time right now and really down in the pits and struggling, what would you say to them? You are worthy and you matter. Beautiful. That's all we need to hear. Yes. It's something we all need to hear, and we all need to remember, and we all need to take ownership of and work through the mess so that we can get to that message and share it with the world. So, thank you, Laura. I'm so in awe of your story, your courage, your grit, your gratitude. And I love how you're owning that gift that you have, that you're sharing with the world now. And I hope that you continue to shine and share this and impact hundreds and hundreds of lives, like I'm sure you will. Thank you for sharing this story with us. Thank you for being here. I know it's not a synchronicity that, it's not what am I trying to say? It's not coincidence. Surprising. Yeah, it's not a coincidence. Thank you that you heard that recording and found the form and filled it out. So I'm really, really excited for everyone to hear this, and I look forward to staying connected with you. So for people who want to learn more about your story or follow you or work with you or connect with you, what's the best way that they can reach you? The best is my website, laurabratton.com. All the information is on there, and the best way to contact me is through the website. Okay, beautiful. So if you're listening and you have a group of people that need to hear Laura's message, reach out to her and connect with her. Or if you're dealing with something difficult and need someone like Laura to lift you up, please connect with her. I will put everything in the show notes for people to connect with you. And I can't wait for everyone to hear this. Thank you so much. Thank you.